Her third husband in a single afternoon. Days later, $35,000 mysteriously moved between their accounts, and lawyers started circling, but the most shocking part was not the money or the accusations. It was what happened next on national television. Cameras kept rolling as her marriage collapsed in real time, and viewers watched a competition show turn into the most painful confession of her career. What she admitted changed everything people thought about her past. Christina Hall was born on July 9, 1983 in Anaheim, California. Growing up in Orange County with her little sister Carly, who arrived 10 years after her, her world was full of coastal air, quiet collects, and long drives through Anaheim hills. The kind of setting that later became the backbone of her brand without her even knowing it. When other kids begged to go to the mall, Christina loved when her parents said they were going to an open house. She would walk into those model homes and fall silent, not out of shyness, but because her mind started working. She noticed the shape of the rooms, the colors on the walls, the way the couch sat under the window. Before she ever stood in front of a camera, she was already building a private language of layouts, textures, and light. Those weekend visits were not just family outings. They were quiet training sessions. While Carly tagged along, Christina studied everything. She looked at kitchen cabinets and wondered what would happen if they were white instead of oak. She looked at old tile and pictured new flooring. In her head, she flipped houses long before she knew what that word meant on television. Most kids her age were thinking about toys or TV shows. Christina was thinking about how to make a room feel fresh and inviting. That private habit stayed with her. It turned into a steady thread that ran through her childhood, through high school, and into the life she eventually built on HGTV. She stayed close to home when it was time for school. Christina went to local schools in Southern California and graduated from Canyon High School in Anaheim in 2001. When some classmates dreamed about leaving for New York or pursuing big city degrees in Los Angeles, she chose the quieter path. She enrolled at a local college or community college and kept her world small on purpose. Staying near home meant she could keep her roots in Orange County, keep watching the houses change, and keep thinking about a future that did not depend on a famous campus name. Those years did not come with prestige or headlines, but they shaped her attitude. She learned to move step by step, to build instead of chase. Her education was practical, local, and steady, and it matched the way she worked. It gave her enough foundation to trust her own choices instead of waiting for someone else to open a door. Even then, she thought her path might look very different. Before real estate and television entered the picture, Christina was drawn to the idea of becoming a sports agent. She watched the movie Jerry Maguire and felt something click. The phone calls, the contracts, the high-stakes conversations, and the idea of being the one who negotiated big deals all grabbed her. She liked the thought of being her own boss, of being the person at the center of a deal rather than someone waiting on the outside. That dream never turned into a career in sports. But it did something important. It taught her that she loved negotiation, that she liked pressure, and that she wanted control over her working life. Later, when she walked into real estate offices and sat across from clients, those early dreams showed up in the way she talked, the way she pushed, and the way she handled money and risk. The real turning point came in college when she was around 21. There was no master plan, no long-written list of goals. She has said that she felt it intuitively. She decided to get her real estate license. She took the courses through a local community college, studied the rules and contracts, and passed the exam. That paper license did not look like much, but it changed everything. She started as an ordinary agent and did not imagine that a camera crew would ever follow her. All she saw at first were listings, clients, and the chance to prove herself. Still, that decision quietly set the stage for flipping houses. Then for auditions and finally for her own television shows. Without that choice at 21, there would be no national brand with her name on it. Around age 21, something shifted. Without a long plan or roadmap, Christina followed a gut feeling and decided to get her real estate license through a local community college. It felt intuitive, almost accidental, but it changed everything. She entered the industry young and hungry, working full-time as an agent for Prudential in Orange County. The days were long. Open houses stretched into evenings. Weekends disappeared. She chased cold leads and competed in a crowded market while living paycheck to paycheck. She learned fast because she had to. By 2005, she was gaining traction, but then the ground fell out. When the housing market crashed in 2008, everything tightened, sales slowed, pressure rose. Around that time, Christina met Tarek El Moussa while working at Prudential. They connected through shared ambition and constant grind. Together, they formed the El Moussa Group and pushed hard in a market that punished hesitation. After the crash, they pivoted into flipping homes. In 2010, they bought their first investment property in Santana for $115,000 and flipped it for $34,000 profit. Every dollar went back into the next project. They took risks, sometimes buying homes sight unseen at auction, tearing them down to the studs, rebuilding kitchens, adding bathrooms, and reshaping layouts. The margins were thin. The stress was real. Still, they kept going. By 2011, Tar filmed a full house flip and sent it to HGTV as Adamo. They had nothing to lose. At the time, they were still living in a $700 a month apartment, surviving on hustle and belief. Within a year, HGTV signed them. Flip or Flop premiered on April 16, 2013. Christina became the design heart of the show, choosing finishes, layouts, and staging that felt modern but reachable. Viewers connected. Ratings exploded. Over 10 seasons and more than 150 episodes, the show drew tens of millions of viewers and turned them into household names. The numbers proved it. Flip or Flop debuted on April 16, 2013. During its first summer run, it reached an average of 22.7 million total viewers. Over the next decade, it ran for 10 seasons from 2013 to 2022 with more than 150 episodes that drew over 90 million viewers in total. Most seasons had between 12 and 15 episodes with one or two house flips in each one. By the time the show ended, it had become HGTV's most watched home renovation series. Christina and TK were no longer just local agents. They were one of the network's most recognizable power couples, carrying an entire franchise on their shoulders. Yet, behind the polished reveals, pressure was building. Just months after the show premiered in 2013, TK was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. A nurse watching the show hate-mailed the production team after spotting a lump on his neck. Within days, he underwent surgery and doctors found that the cancer had already reached his lymph nodes. They removed his thyroid and the affected nodes. Only a few months later, he discovered he also had testicular cancer and went through another surgery. She spent a full week confined to bed and then 13 weeks on limited activity, unable to lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk. The emotional and physical strain was enormous, but that cycle finally brought their son Braden in August 2015. She later described those years as a roller coaster of hope and heartbreak. All of this happened while the cameras kept rolling. On set, they were expected to walk through houses, crack jokes, and talk confidently about tile choices. Offset, they were rushing to hospital appointments, dealing with lab results, and managing hormone treatments. Christina has described the emotional whiplash of smiling through a renovation scene during the day and crying from exhaustion at night. Tarek filmed while dealing with surgeries and side effects from chemotherapy and later hormone therapy. The showed buyers and sellers. It did not show the nights when they lay awake worrying about cancer, fertility, or their future together. The network schedule did not leave much room to slow down. HGTV had tight production timelines and a constant demand for new episodes. Social media added another layer of weight. Every episode brought comments, opinions, and endless public judgment about their marriage, their parenting, and their choices. Very few viewers knew the full reality of their health battles. The pressure to keep up appearances both for the cameras and online pushed them to keep performing even when they were drained. That silence about their private pain magnified the strain on both their marriage and their business. By 2016, the cracks were starting to show in public. On May 23 of that year, after years of stress, health scares, and constant work, a heated argument broke out at their home in Yorba Linda, California. Tar left the house and walked toward nearby Chino Hills State Park with a handgun. someone called 911 to report a possibly suicidal man with a gun. Police responded with multiple units in a helicopter, turning what began as a private fight into a widely covered incident. Officers eventually located Tara and a helicopter hovered overhead. He later recalled standing there with dust swirling around him from the blades as a loudspeaker ordered him to raise his hands. He was handcuffed and sat on a cooler in his own driveway for hours while police investigated. From Christina's side, the scene looked terrifying. She has said that she called 911 because she feared for his safety, not because she believed he wanted to hurt anyone else. The full police response, the helicopter, and the media coverage that followed made the incident look even more dramatic to the outside world. The police later confirmed that there was no evidence of violence or intent to harm others, but by then the damage was done. For Christina, it was a moment of desperation. For both of them, it marked a line they could not easily step back over. Teak later tried to explain what had happened from his perspective. He said that he took the gun as a precaution in case he ran into wildlife on the trail since the area had mountain lions and bobcats and he had a legal concealed carry permit. He said he just wanted to clear his head with a walk after the argument and did not realize how scared Christina was or how quickly the situation would escalate. He described feeling deeply embarrassed when he saw the helicopter and understood that the police were there because someone thought he might be a danger to himself. Looking back, he has admitted that his mental state at the time was tangled up in more than just that one day. Part of that mental state, he later revealed, came from heavy hormone treatments. After his cancer diagnosis, he began taking high doses of testosterone and human chorionic gonadotropin. The combination left him exhausted, emotionally unstable, and physically off-balanced. He has said that the treatments contributed to erratic behavior and made it harder to manage stress. Both he and Christina have pointed to that period as the time when their 7-year marriage truly started to break apart. Health problems, the side effects of treatment, and the constant need to perform in public all fed into the same storm. Despite the gun incident in May 2016, they did not announce a separation right away. Instead, they continued filming Flip or Flop together as if nothing had changed, keeping their split private for months while the cameras followed them through more renovations. Only in December 2016 did they publicly confirm that they were separating. Their joint statement described the incident at their home as an unfortunate misunderstanding, emphasized that there was no violence and no charges, and tried to keep the focus on their children. Their divorce became final in January 2018. Through all of this, the show stayed on the air. Their daughter Taylor, born in 2009, and their son Braden, born in 2014, watched their parents shift from spouses to co-parents under a spotlight that never really turned off. What happened next was something viewers were not used to seeing. Instead of walking away from the show once their marriage ended, Christina and TK kept co-hosting. From 2017 through 2022, Flip or Flop continued with new episodes, which meant filming together for more than 4 years after their divorce. Fans and reporters watched their interactions closely, studying eye contact and offhand comments for hints of old tension or new affection. Their scenes became part renovation, part real domesticity of two people trying to stay professional after their personal life had collapsed. In a world where reality couples often vanish when relationships end, their decision to keep working together became its own story. In June 2018, the network behind her rise made a clear decision about her future. HGTV announced that Christina Hall, who had already gone through Avery Public split from Tak Musa, would stand on her own with a new show called Christina on the Coast. It was not just another renovation series. The idea was to follow her in Southern California. Ash worked on high-end homes while also quietly rebuilding her own life. To make that point clear, the plan for the very first episode was simple and personal. Cameras would watch her renovate her new home, the one she bought after the divorce, and walk with her as she tried to start again. Filming began in the fall of 2018. And by May 23, 2019, Christina on the Coast was ready to air. The premiere did more than show tiles, lighting, and floor plans. It followed Christina in Newport Beach as she turned an empty house into a place she wanted to call home. Viewers saw her making design decisions while also dealing with Liffey as a mother of 3. They watched school runs, family moments, and quiet scenes where she explained how it felt to rebuild after a breakup that the whole world had watched. The producers blended her work and her home life on purpose, so every wall she painted and every room she finished carried a little piece of her own restart.